So what the heck's been going on with Dragon Ball Super lately, right? Ever since this latest time skip for Dragon Ball Super with the prequel to the Dragon Ball Super superheroes film, these manga chapters have been going in a little bit of a different direction than the manga has seen up until this point. I mean, for starters, one of the biggest changes is, as it stands with the last two chapters, 88 and 89, Goten and Trunks are older and seemingly the primary focus of these chapters. But I want to start off with this one. I want to start off flat out by saying, before we get any further, that personally I feel like this arc is going to be relatively short. It'll probably be comprised into one volume, and I'm gonna go a step further in saying the reasoning I feel they decided to go into this direction, and it's not because of anything of like, yo, we want to try something new. I mean, I'm sure that might be a little bit of a factor, like, yo, we could reach out to different audiences and different demographics, but even more so, I'm gonna bet that because it feels like they're catering this manga right now with these last two chapters in particular, especially towards the West, they're probably just trying to compile a volume of like, yo dog, let's get some Dragon Ball superhero stuff into a volume, so that way when the movie drops, we could put it worldwide alongside this volume. Like, yo dog, you want to buy that movie? Why don't you buy this volume alongside of it? Because at the end of the day, one of the big things about anime and manga, just think Boruto for example, is when they have a successful movie, they like to stick close to that movie. And because Dragon Ball Superheroes worldwide did massive in Japan, it didn't do that well, but everywhere else it did, they're probably like, okay, with Dragon Ball, we're gonna make it more of just a Western IP at this particular point. So on top of that, let's cater towards to what they like, and they liked that superhero movie. The same way the Boruto Naruto, the movie stuff got milked beyond belief, a readaptation for the manga, a readaptation for the TV anime. It was because they knew people love this stuff. Let's keep giving it to them, and it kind of worked to a certain degree because people kept buying it and they kept on doing it, and it seems as though they're like, okay, we don't want to retread the Dragon Ball superhero content into the manga. How about we make something that we could attach to it? So boom, when the Blu-ray comes out all over the world outside of Japan, we can attach this volume with it as well. Go buy that book while you buy that Blu-ray. Again, just speculation, but I truly believe that this is going to be about a one volume piece because it seems as though primarily this is like a slice of life manga as it stands right now, with elements that tie it all back to the Dragon Ball superhero movie, and also the origins of how Goten and Trunks came about to put on those freaking costumes, and ultimately what led to Gamma 1 and 2 in the movie. This is explaining a lot of that stuff in Dr. Hedo, because honestly we're seeing a lot of stuff that felt like, even when you go back to Dragon Ball Z, the Great Saiyaman saga, it kind of felt very strong along those lines that they're trying to make it more slice of life. You're seeing in the last two chapters, Trunks is playing basketball, just normal stuff that, again, going back to my whole theory of the beginning, caters towards the West. I'm not saying that Japan doesn't like basketball. Kuroko, Slam Dunk, hello, well, oh wow, he's playing basketball and Slam Dunk is Toei's biggest property. Yo, I'm on to something here. I'm talking about the Slam Dunk movie, by the way, just saying. But either way, based on 88, where Trunks got his hands on that disc that has seemingly the blueprints to sell, he tries in 89 to put it into his mama's computer to see what's going on, and Hedo showcases why he is, you know, the genius that he is and his lineage, because there was a virus that basically fries up Bulma's computer immediately. But at the very least, we see like, okay, this was the prototypes and this is how long this whole Cell project has been in development. And then it also added extra elements as well. One of the things that a lot of fans really loved about Dragon Ball, and in particular Dragon Ball Super when it returned, was the whole Future Trunks situation, right? I think that Goku Black arc and Future Trunks returning yet again is what put Dragon Ball Super on the map. Like the Universe 6 stuff was starting to, okay, it's finally new Dragon Ball stories, let's go, no more movie adaptations, and this is all really exciting stuff. You get to Goku Black and you get that nostalgic feeling of, oh my god, when I was a child, Future Trunks was everything. But it seems as though one of the things that, as a fan of the character, I can appreciate is this is finally showing, yo dog, Trunks, he been through a lot. Remember, he came back twice already from post-apocalyptic timelines, going through living nightmares, seeing his best friends die. It's nice to finally see Trunks, whether it be a different version of him or a different timeline version of him, have a normal life. Honestly, if you really think about it, how much bullshit more do you want to see Trunks go through? So to see him just living life, chasing after Mai, which that was kind of a funny situation throughout the chapter, it is more meaningful because it's like, he deserves this. He went through so much, and even if it's not necessarily the Trunks from those timelines, this is what he fought for. So the Trunks of this timeline at the very least can live give good. So kudos to the switch to a certain degree because it's worth it. He deserves it. And also with the latest chapter 89, it gets introduced that Maya is going to Trunks' school, although she's very standoffish. She's just kind of looking at him as a little kid, which it felt like with this chapter to a certain degree. When was it that Bulma figured out who Pilaf and them actually were? Because basically Maya starts going to school because Bulma is like, yo, it's gonna seem weird. She's around Trunks' age and she don't go to school. She gotta go. But, well, why would you find it weird unless you know that she's not? Unless it was just at face value of like, yo, she should be going to school. But the way it was said, it kind of made me think like, does she already know about Pilaf and them? And I remember even in the movie, I think she had caught him and was kind of like already aware. And maybe I'm misremembering, but I don't remember the big reveal of Bulma finding out that's Emperor Pilaf and he's a bad dude. But then we get introduced to another character that started off at their school, and he was a beta male. No, literally his name is Beta, and I'm imagining he was the beta for the Gammas that we get in the movie, because we find out that this guy Beta is indeed a cyborg, an android, a robotic creation by Dr. Hedo himself. But fam, what was Dragon Ball Super doing? I'm just saying, because they got a couple of new characters that they seemingly are being a part of this, you know, slice of life element, and in particular they had the sister up in this chapter basically simping over this Beta dude. I'm just saying though, throughout the chapter it's just constantly her simping over him. Why y'all doing that to the sister? There's some nice brothers around in the classroom, but she's simping over the Beta. What is going on here, fam? Dragon Ball Super, what are you doing to me, dog? Shout outs to the sister in this chapter regardless, because it was nice to see her. But yeah, dog, don't be having her simping over this Beta male, you know what I'm saying? And again, just giving me more vibes of like the Saiyaman saga, with seeing Trunks playing basketball and holding back, but then saying, yo, I've been holding back and all this time, and Goten kind of forgetting and lifting up cars and stuff like that. It's dope to see the Dragon Ball characters, these superhuman god tier people, kind of, how do they adapt into normalcy? Especially these kids that they're not like Goku that was, you know, alone in the woods all of his life until Bulma found him. Like, they have to adapt to society. Vegeta's son has to go to school and stuff like that. So seeing them kind of maneuver through this whole situation of being this strong and having to live a normal life on Earth, so to speak, it's kind of interesting, I guess. However, throughout the chapter, Dr. Hedo is dead set on finding the Saiyamen from chapter 88 that basically foiled his plans and took the blueprints to his cell operation. And yeah, that's why he sent Beta to begin with, to sniff out who did it and get me my disc back. Which is absolutely hilarious to think about, dog. The once great Dr. Gero's grandson is a sniveling little, like, oh my god, throughout the chapter where he's just fanboying over capes and stuff like that, I'm like, we went from Gero to him. And fam, when Beta showed up in that costume, for starters, again, clear indication of these are the sparks that led to the Gammas, which were way cooler. Hands down, 1,000,000,000%, the Gammas, way cooler and way dope of heroes, so to speak, than this Beta dude. I just can't get over it. He is literally the antithesis of just although you could definitely see that Hedo doesn't understand the strength of some of these people here. I mean, he didn't even understand the strength of, you know, the Saiyamen, so to speak, because it looks like he was dealt very quickly. Like, Goten grabs his arm like he's nothing. Like, yeah, Dr. Hedo at this point, maybe in the superhero film, he kind of learned a little more, and the Gammas were able to throw hands with Gohan and stuff like that. But at this point, him sending that Beta male, no bueno. And it even more so put emphasis on the whole thing of this being the blueprint for the Gammas, because Beta eventually activates like this mech thingy, and he's like, yo, it's Beta 2, like Gamma 1 and 2, and it was alright. Honestly, again, a lot of this is just straight up slice of life, and I totally feel like this little condensed arc, it'll probably climax with something big connecting back to the Black Frieza stuff and things like that, but I'm expecting for the most part this for the next probably 2 to 3 chapters, depending on how many chapters they're going to put into the next volume. I feel like this is going to be all comprised in one volume, and again, made to, yo, the Blu-ray's going out worldwide soon, get a volume out with it, and if I'm off, I'm off. And again, I guess it also pushes forth that whole idea of love transcends time, so to speak, because you think about it, in the previous timeline where Trunks was, you know, going up against Goku Black and stuff like that, it started pushing forward that whole thing of Trunks and Mai, and then you come to this timeline, and yet again, there's more Trunks and Mai, but think about it. It's a soft reboot of that content. Now, instead of it being in this post-apocalyptic world where Mai, it looks like she was murdered by Goku Black and all of this insanity, it's no school setting and her figuring out he's a superhero. And it's kind of strange in a way because at the end of the day, Mai, while she's inhabiting a body that is of the same age of Trunks at this point, yo dog, how old is Mai now? Like, yo, she is older than Goku. It's so weird because she seemingly falls for Trunks when Saiyaman, who is Trunks in the costume or whatnot, saves her, and she's like, I haven't experienced this feeling in a long time. So you can expect that in this timeline, even though it's a lot more weird than ever before, Trunks x Mai will be a thing. And dog, Trunks was bugging. Like, he wants it so bad that once he found out, oh, she likes Saiyaman, let me tell you, and Goten thought on his feet, which is kind of funny. Like, Goten, he may be a little bit goofy because again, he screwed up and picked up the car in front of people and shit like that, but he still has some sense, maybe a little bit more than Goku had at that age, to be like, yo, chill out, what you gonna do? You gonna blow a couple stuff? And the chapter ended off with Hedo again fanboying over the costumes of the Saiyaman and saying, yo, the next creation, we're gonna make them even better. So now this is what probably influenced the creation of the Gamma, their costumes, and again, a lot of the lore that wasn't really explained too well in the Dragon Ball Super superhero film. Here you go. This is what started it all. Goten and Trunks inspired the Gamma that eventually end up kidnapping Goten's niece. Like, yeah. But also, it's kind of cool if you really dissect influences, right? Just think about it like this, dog. All of this actually starts, like the Saiyaman, the costumes and everything, from the Ginyu Force. And granted, I don't know where the Ginyu Force got it from, but it started with the Ginyu Force with their ridiculous poses, dances, and costumes. Then Gohan, because he was a little kid, he saw all of that, got inspired, became Saiyaman. He did Saiyaman in front of Goten and Trunks when they were little kids. Boom, now they want to be superheroes. So I guess it just depends on the next generation if they see them and be like, that's lame. Because even Shorty, yo, sister in this chapter was like, they were kind of corny, but yo, hoorah for them. But they were corny, I ain't gonna lie, they were corny. She had soul, bro. She had soul. And honestly, again, for what it's worth, it was a cool little chapter. I'm going to keep my expectations at a minimum for the next couple months until we get about a volume's worth of content. And then I'll decide on like, alright, dog, come on, let's get things moving forward. I'm going to guess that maybe the next chapter will be in a similar fashion. And then the 4th chapter of this arc will end with a bang and probably bring us back, or at the very least, bring them more closer into the story, Goku and Vegeta, because don't get me wrong, I like seeing Goten and Trunks. We've been screaming for this for a while, but it needs to move to them at some point. I mean, dog, we've spent 80 something chapters of them being the MCs constantly on screen. To go from them to this is a breath of fresh air, no doubt about it, but at some point they're gonna have to return to them. So I'm guessing 2 more chapters. I might be totally off. This could be the next arc for, I don't know, 50 million years, but I don't think so. Time will tell. But I'm definitely curious about how you watching right now feel about the Dragon Ball Super manga as it stands right now with what's going on with chapter 88 and 89. How do you feel about the slice of life element? What do you think about Dr. Hedo? Do you feel like this is all just a straight up, yo dog, let's make a volume that we could sell similar to the Blu-ray that's going to come out in the West for Dragon Ball Super superheroes, or is there something more to it? I'm going to say straight up, I feel like Japan has moved on from making Dragon Ball for Japan. Like, it seems as though they're like, we got to go for it worldwide in the West because they're the ones that supported superhero. They're the ones that are still crazy about this title after, you know, how many years. That's crazy, dog. Dragon Ball manga started in 84. Holy cow. And overall thoughts and expectations for the Dragon Ball Super manga with chapter 90 and forward. When do you think we're going to see the Black Frieza stuff and everything with the Tournament of Power situation of the different universes again? I feel like that is such grandiose setup that it's just waiting to be explored. Like, let's get to Planet Saddle. Let's do a movie on Saddle. Let's do something. But for now, we got some okay-ish slice of life. Let's see where it goes. So that's for this one. I'm FNeverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. Subscribe and hit that bell to get more. Yeah! I have a dream, alone in my room as I sit with the tea. Couldn't possibly think what I often see, and you don't even know how I often blink. Lights be flashing and looking at me, such an odd unique, yet I'm so unique and you're looking at me. If the walls could talk, they would probably read Greek, and I'd probably say, bitch, get the fuck off me.